Hey, what's up guys, Paulo Munoz here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the Pose Tools plugin for ZBrush developed by Reallusion. I collaborated with them to help them define and simplify the process of managing and posing things in ZBrush. So this plugin is free and it's a fantastic tool to, again, to manage and create poses and save them within ZBrush. So this video is all about that. I'm going to show you how to use it, what it does, some of its benefits, and also if you have Character Creator 4, a software developed by Reallusion as well, I'm going to show you how to link them the two together so you can make the most out of this plugin and create a lot of really cool poses for your characters. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. All right, so here we are in ZBrush, and for this video I'm using version 2022. I'm also using the default UI, so this is what you will see if you open up ZBrush as a new version and a vanilla version. And I also have my version of this stylized Spider-Man character here that I'm going to use as a demo to show you some really cool poses. Also, I have just this as the body, right? But I also have some clothes for it, and the zipper for the jacket and the jumper that are separately. So this is what the full character looks like. So I have three different subtools. This one you can ignore it. This is just a simple way to name things without affecting the names of the other subtools, but that's pretty much it. All right, so if I go ahead and open up the layers here in ZBrush, you'll see that I have a bunch of layers, and each one of these layers corresponds to a new pose that I created. So if I go into solo mode, this is the body. I'm gonna go ahead and enable something like this swinging. Right, so now I have the Spider-Man swinging from, spider web. And if I go out of solo mode, I'll have to go into the other subtool. So let's select the clothing and let's find swinging, enable that. And finally, the zippers. So the same thing, let's go ahead and find the swinging one. All right, so now we have all of the subtools corresponding to this, fun pose. Let's say that I want to do a different pose or edit this pose or whatever I want to do. I have to go back into the body. Let's say turn this one off and maybe do the hero landing. Let's go ahead and select the clothes as well. Do the same thing, hero landing. So you see, it becomes quite repetitive and a little bit tedious to do this sort of thing every time that you want to switch to a new pose or change or edit anything just within these layers. So this is basically what the ZBrush Pose Tools plugin does. It helps you manage the pose and simplify the entire workflow. So I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to open up this left tray by double clicking those arrows. Let's go ahead and click on the Z plugin palette and click on this icon right here to drag and drop it in there. And I'm going to open up the ZBrush Pose Tools. So this is what the plugin looks like. And I have a bunch of grayed out options at the moment because I haven't done anything. This is how it looks when you open it up. And it's actually really simple to use. So for example, I can go ahead and click on this Convert Layers to Pose. And the process is basically taking each one of the layers on each one of the subtools that you have. You can have multiple subtools, and it's going to compact them all together into these poses with these switches right here. Right? So this is pretty cool because now we go back to, the standing pose that I had at the beginning, and I can go ahead and click on Hero Standing. And the plugin is going to enable automatically just that layer for you. And you don't have to go back and forth, especially if you have, imagine that you have 20 different subtools. This process is really, really convenient. I'm going to switch to the swinging one. There we go. So pretty cool stuff. And like I said, I have a bunch of different ones that I decided to create with Character Creator, but this is basically what it does. And it doesn't have to be a humanoid character. It could be absolutely anything that you want, because ultimately this plugin works with the layer system in ZBrush. So it is very, very convenient. Now, another cool thing that you can do is obviously edit the poses once you're in ZBrush. So this is kind of like the raw poses. I actually haven't gone through the process of tweaking them, so there's no like folds or anything like that. So it's pretty basic, but we can go ahead and edit these poses as much as we want to. So let's use something a little bit more interesting, like the swinging one, which is a pretty extreme pose. Yep, I think this one would work fine. So let's say that I want to add some wrinkles. I'm not going to go through the process of like really sculpting anything, but I'm going to show you how you can do it. So let's say that we want to add some wrinkles to this pose and just tweak it a little bit so that it feels a bit more natural. I can just go ahead and click on Edit Current Pose. This is the one that I have selected, so I'm going to click on Edit Current Pose. And the plugin now is going to go through the process of enabling this specific layer, as you can see here. Let's go ahead and select the clothing first. As you see, it enables the swinging one, the one that we had selected, and it's set it to record mode. So let's go ahead and tweak this. And maybe for this, I'm going to switch to a different material so that you can see things a little bit better. And also, I'm going to go ahead and switch to a different brush like the Cloth Notch that uses dynamics. And I'm going to go ahead and try to click on this one. By the way, this current subtool has quite a few polygons. So let me just scroll, and you see here at the top we have 1.6 million polygons active. So if I go ahead and try to do something with this dynamics brush, it's not gonna do much really, because it has too many polygons. So I can just go ahead and select my subtool and go to the geometry palette. I can move this down and all of that, but I can also do it from the plugin, and I can also affect all my subtools. So in here I can click on all low, and you see it just sends all my subtools to the lowest subdivision level, or I can just do one subdivision level at a time. So right now I have 25,000 polygons, but I can also use the lower res and the higher res buttons to essentially go up and down in the subdivision levels. In this case, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to select my clothes and go one subdivision level up just to have 100,000. So that should be enough. So now I'm going to use this brush, just nudging things like so, and you see it creates a nice sort of effect of like wrinkles and folds happening in the clothing. With this brush, you have to be pretty subtle in the way that it works. I'm gonna smooth this out as well. So you can use any of your sculpting brushes. Let's create a bit of a compression here on the shoulder. We go into solo mode as well. And we can use the smooth brush. Like I said, absolutely any type of sculpting brush. So maybe the move topological, let's push this out as well, so there's no intersection. So you can just go ahead and spend all your time sculpting these. Maybe we can even bring in the damp standard brush as well and create some kind of like, larger folds in here. In fact, let's just go ahead and move up in subdivision levels just a tiny bit. Again, I'm not gonna focus on the sculpting side of things. I just want to show you how the plugin works, but obviously you can spend a lot more time tweaking these things. All right, so let's say that I'm happy with this. Perhaps let's go back into the cloth notch, and I'm gonna do the same thing here for the for this part. Oops, let's go back one more for the pants or for the shorts, and we can pull things back a bit just to pretend that there's some kind of like wind happening. Let's go into the move topological again just to fix the intersection here. All right, so pretty simple editing of the pose. And remember, I'm currently editing the current pose of the swinging. So once I'm happy with this, with the edits that I did, with all these, folds and all of that, I can just go ahead and click on Save Current Record. And that's pretty much it. We go back to having all the switches available to us, and you'll see we have all these edits and all these fixes that we did recorded in this layer. I should have just fixed this one as well, but it's a very simple thing to do. And now if I switch back to, let's say, the walking pose, we don't have those wrinkles in there because they belong to this swinging layer. All right, so that's looking pretty good. But let's say that we want to create a brand new pose, something new, right? We can go ahead and click on the switch just to get out of the poses, and we go back to this kind of like A pose or kind of like the bind pose. And then we can go ahead and create a new pose. Now in ZBrush, there's a few ways that you can go ahead and pose your character. You can use the gizmo, you can use the transpose master. I prefer to use the transpose master in this case, but I'm going to show you both anyway. So the idea is that you will create a new layer or a new recording layer for each one of your subtools, and then you can move them about, and that's it. You can just create a new pose. Now with this plugin, it's a lot easier because you can click on record a new pose, and that basically creates a new sculpting layer for absolutely every single one of your subtools. So let's call this one quick test. All right, so now we have quick test enabled here, and you see everything is grayed out, and we're currently in recording mode. So let's go ahead and send everything to the lowest subdivision level so that we can work a little bit better. You'll see every single piece is now in the lowest subdivision level. Very briefly, I'm just going to go ahead and use masking tools. So I'm going to hold the control key, access my masking brushes, and maybe go for the mask lasso. And I'm going to take this arm and then just mask the whole thing, right? I'm going to do the same thing for the body, kind of like mask this area as well. Oops, I had symmetry enabled, so I'm going to turn that off. Let's go back to the clothing. I have this mask. In the body, I also have this mask. And the zipper, I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, so now invert the mask as well in here. So now we have just this section that is on mask. We can also mask out the zipper just in case. And now we can bring in something like the transpose, which is this one right here. So I'm going to press this icon to center it to the unmasked areas. I'm going to hold the Alt key to drag the pivot. I'm going to place it around there, holding Alt just to reposition that pivot, and then I can just go ahead and move this thing around. Now you see that now I'm moving only one subtool at a time, but if I undo that and click on this icon to transpose all selected subtools, I'm going to click on that. You'll see that now I'm going to be able to move all the subtools at once. Now the only thing with this process, and again, this works just fine if you want to maybe set it up like this, right? We can do kind of like a simple standing pose That looks cool. It works totally fine. It's just that it's a little bit tedious to have to mask each one of the subtools, especially if you have multiple ones. So this is why I prefer to use the Transpose Master. So let's go ahead and save this quick test. Again, I just wanted to show you that you can do it with the gizmo. So let's clear the mask. I'm gonna clear all the masks as well. And I'm gonna click on Save New Record. So this is going to record this very simple change in this pose to a new switch or a new sculpting layer for each one of your subtools. All right, so now we can just click on Quick Test, and you see we now have that pose that we did directly in ZBrush. Now let's get out of this one and let's create a new pose, but this time using the Transpose Master. And the Transpose Master is another plugin, but that one comes with ZBrush as default, and is really, really handy because it combines all of your subtools in the low subdivision level, and it allows you to work a lot faster. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's find the Transpose Master here at the bottom. Transpose Master, and let's enable layers. That way we can record any changes that we do in the mesh in its own layer. And let's click on the T-Pose mesh. Now, ZBrush went ahead and combined all of the subtools that I had. You can see this is just a single object that has all my subtools in there, and I can go ahead and spend some time doing a pose. So I'm just gonna do this very, very quickly. I'm gonna hold the Control key, access my masking tools, and let's do the same thing that I did before. Let's create some kind of like simple pose. I'm gonna blur the mask as well, just by holding Control and clicking on the mask. Let's bring in the gizmo. Let's center the gizmo to the unmasked areas, holding the Alt key to reposition that pivot. And let's go ahead and do something like this. You know, very simple. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this pose. I just wanna show you how the workflow, or what the workflow is really. All right, something like that. Let's just go ahead and also rotate the legs a little bit. All right, and the cool thing as well is that in this process you can also use any sculpting brush, any move brush or anything like that, just to push things and make sure that there's no intersection like I have in here. All right, not too bad. Let's go ahead and also maybe move the head a bit, just to make it a bit more interesting. All right, and finally, maybe rotate one of the ankles as well. All right, a pretty simple pose, but I think it works just to demonstrate that you can use the Transpose Master. All right, so once I finish with this, again, this is kind of like a clone version that has merged everything together. I can click on T-Pose to Subtool, and then ZBrush is going to go through the process of sending those changes, that pose that I created with the Transpose Master, into the actual working file that has all my subdivision levels and all the subtools like you see here. It took about 6 seconds, so that's pretty good. And because I have this layer enabled, I actually created a layer for each one of the subtools at the bottom. So that one should be here at the bottom. It's called the Untitled layer, and that's the one that I have enabled. All right, so now obviously that layer is just from the Transpose Master, is not in the Pose tools at all. So the way that you can bring it back in is by clicking on Convert Layers to Pose again. So I'm gonna click on that. And very quickly now we have this Untitled layer, which if we enable corresponds to whatever we did with the Transpose Master. So very, very simple stuff. So obviously I wanna make sure that I keep track of any changes and it's a little bit easier to understand. So I'm gonna rename this layer, and I can do it as well from this plugin. I don't have to rename them from the layers. Again, it will be pretty tedious to do in every single subtool. So from here, I'm gonna click on Rename, and I'm gonna call this one Transpose Master, just so I know which one it is. And you see, it just went through the process of renaming all of those layers for every single subtool, and now we have this Transpose Master. All right, so now I can just click on that one and go back to the original pose that I had. Now, before I show you the rest, I just want to show you something very important. If I go ahead and save this as a new file, I'm going to call it new, or Spidey All Poses new. So this is a brand new subtool that I just saved. And now let's go ahead and open up the Lightbox by pressing the comma key, and I'm going to go to Projects and ZBrush, and I'm just going to open up just the doc project. And no, I'm not going to save any changes. I already saved that as a tool. All right, so this is a brand new project. You see there's no Spider-Man tool anywhere. So this is a brand new project, but you see in the plugin we still have some of these poses, right? And this is exactly what I wanted to show you. So if I go ahead and click on Refresh Pose List, now ZBrush doesn't find any new pose in here. So let's go back, sorry, not new pose, new layer in there. And that's why we have now everything as kind of like empty. So that's fine. So if I go ahead and load my tool now, I'm gonna load the one that I just saved with the Spider-Man with the new poses. All right, and let's switch to a different material. We have all the different subtools and we have all our layers, right? But they're not appearing in here. So we have to do the same thing. This is just something to keep in mind, that when you save your tool and then you reload it and then you don't see anything that you saved, all the work that you did, don't panic. It is still there. You just need to click on refresh pose list. And now it's going to, bring back everything, and we can go back to the transpose master pose that we created. We can also, switch to the quick test that it just has one arm like so, and that sort of thing. So everything is working quite well. All right, so we have this big jump. That's another extreme pose that I created with Character Creator. So as you can see, it's a pretty simple plugin, but really, really powerful to improve your workflow and work a little bit faster. Now, this plugin is free, and then you can use it, like I said, with absolutely anything that you want. It doesn't have to be a character. It just uses the whatever layer that you created. However, one of the most powerful things that this plugin has is that it can connect ZBrush with Character Creator 4 so that you can create your poses, do the rig of your character in CC4, and then bring it. And that's basically what I did with this Spider-Man character. So let me just go ahead and restart everything and start fresh. I'm going to go to Preferences, Initialize ZBrush, and I'm just going to start from scratch just to show you how you can do the connection. All right, so now I have Initialized ZBrush. Let's go ahead and load my original poses from Spider-Man. So this one doesn't have the quick test or the transpose master or anything like that. Let's go ahead and drag it in there. And let's switch the material as well. So I have my subtools. I'm going to click on Refresh Pose List. And you see these two disappear, the gizmo and the transpose, because this doesn't have, or this file doesn't have those layers, and that is all ready to go. Now, I have already set up this character in Character Creator, so I have the rig and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and send it over. So I'm going to click on Visible, and this is going to send this character in this pose to CC4. So I'm going to click on Visible, click on Continue, and because I already set it up, you'll see that I already have it in here. All I'm going to do is update this character, and let's turn this off because I don't want to update the textures, and I'm going to also match the model scale so that it matches the scale in CC4. Let's click on Update. All right, and that's it. So we now have the character here in Character Creator, and like I said, I already set up this character in CC4. I already have a rig. If you're interested in that process of rigging a character, I have a tutorial series that I created to showcase how to do that with a full character, and that is in my YouTube channel as well as in the Realution website. So now, because I already have this character rigged, I can click on Edit Pose, and you'll see if I select, let's say, the hand, I can just go ahead and move them freely and just create those really interesting poses very, very easily. Right, so everything is working fine in here. I can just go ahead and create a weird quick pose like so, or I can use the massive library of poses and animations that come with CC4. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and go into Content, and in here in the Motion section, I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this animation. There we go. So I can just go ahead and play it like so. So we can do something like this, and I think this is working fine. There's a little bit of intersection obviously in this area, but we can fix that later on. But this is a nice pose, relaxed sitting. So once I'm happy with this, maybe you can scroll a little bit, maybe he's talking like so, something like that. Maybe I'm happy with this. Now I can just go ahead, and in the plugin section I have this ZBrush pose link. So this is what I was talking about. If you have Character Creator 4, you can install these ZBrush pose links, and you can just go ahead and send this pose directly. So I'm going to leave this match ZBrush scale to 0.01 again, because I'm going to send it back. And remember, when I brought it in, I matched the scale of CC4. So I'm going to send it back, make sure that this is ticked. And I'm going to click on Send Current Pose to ZBrush Pose Tool. So I'm going to click on that. And that's it. So it goes through the process of sending that new pose into ZBrush, and of course it creates a new switch that we can manage, because ultimately that's what it does in the layer. So it creates a new layer that has that pose. So let's go ahead and rename it. Let's call it Sitting. All right, so now it is renamed in all of the layers and all of the subtools. So we can now go ahead and maybe fix that intersection, or just pull the shorts a little bit lower so that they're actually interacting a little bit better with the legs and all of that. So I'm going to do this very quickly, just in an effort to keep this video short. I'm going to click on Edit Current Pose, and let's go ahead and select the clothing, and I'm just going to concentrate on this one. I'm going to go all low to send everything to the lowest of the vision. I'm going to use the Move Topological brush. I'm just going to push this down a bit. All right, so pretty subtle stuff, but you can see very quickly you can edit a very cool pose already, and making it look a lot more interesting or realistic just by changing the way that it behaves and interacts with the rest of the model. I'm not going to fix the hand, just want to show you that you can totally go ahead and do all of this stuff with this plugin. All right, so that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and also push this one here a bit. And like I said, you can use absolutely any brush that you want to sculpt this. So maybe I can just go ahead and use the standard brush just to add some wrinkles here. Actually, let's go ahead and go all high so we can literally sculpt this like so. Maybe with the damp standard brush to create some sharper lines around there. Again, you can spend a lot more time just playing around with the folds and the wrinkles, but that gives you an idea how you can utilize this awesome plugin to basically manage and edit your poses that you either create in ZBrush with the Transpose Master or that you bring from CC4. So just to wrap it up, I'm going to click on Save Current Record. And that's it. We have a new edited layer with this setting. So this is basically what I went ahead and did for each one of these poses. I use CC4 to rig this character and to create these more dynamic, interesting poses. And I just send them all into ZBrush using this tool. And again, once I have all my poses here that I can manage directly with this plugin, as you can see, very, very simple stuff, I can just go ahead and spend some time editing these poses so that they feel more natural and, you know, we can avoid all the intersection and all of that. But for the most part, it is a really, really simple thing to do. In fact, this one, it should be hanging the other way around. So I'm going to quickly edit that. I'm going to click on Edit Pose. And just to reiterate that you can use anything really, I'm going to bring in the gizmo and I'm going to make sure that I select all the layers like so. I'm going to reset the gizmo and I'm going to rotate this around so that it's more kind of like hanging from below like so. And that's it. Let's go ahead and save record. And cool, we have now the Spider-Man kind of like hanging from, you know, a spider web, and we can go back to this flying one and so on and so forth. Now this wraps up this video. Hopefully what I showed you today is of help. Go ahead and grab this free plugin and you can just go ahead and start managing your poses in ZBrush. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.